Pew, 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 pew. Hey, this is Dave from DQ Studios and Not So Ancient Chinese Secrets, and I'm here with a look at what's in the box and a hardware comparison of the new Mitros Plus flash for Nikon from Phottix. And as a Nikon shooter, why would I ever consider a third-party flash that wasn't made from Nikon when I've got a perfectly good Nikon set of flashes? Well, Nikon flashes are great, but for off-camera flash shooters, one of the limitations is the fact that it's line of sight only. It's only optical, it's not radio. And so you've got this little tiny round window at the bottom here that has to see the transmitter for it to go off. So if I were to put my flash behind a subject and want to rim light them, it may not go off unless it can actually bounce off a wall. So outdoors is really unreliable to rim flash with a Nikon's line of sight system. So enter the Mitros Plus, and I've been waiting a long time for Nikon to come out with radio to match Canon, but they haven't as of yet. So Mitros Plus has, and so what makes it so special is not only can it do everything that the Nikon flash can do, it can do high-speed sync, it can do TTL, it can do manual, it can actually work within Nikon's own optical system as a master or a slave, but they've bested it. They've put in a Phottix Odin radio transmitter and receiver in here. Now that only works proprietary with Phottix system, but you've got an Odin transmitter here that can be used on your camera, so you don't need a flash on the camera as well. And they also work and trigger quote-unquote dumb triggers without TTL for your studio strobes with the Atlas II and the Stratos system. So let's take a look at what's in the box first. And I know it shouldn't matter, but one of the really cool things when I first opened up the package and it gave me a little bit of relief was the quality of the box. It's well printed, it's quality cardboard, but you know what? When you're spending thousands of dollars to replace your flashes, you want to make sure, and any peace of mind is really good, and this is key. Over here, 2-year warranty. So I'm really glad that Phottix is standing behind their product, and that's a lot of peace of mind right there. When you open up the box, besides the warranty card that you'll find, just a little thing that also gives you peace of mind, you get this little tiny quality certificate. And on the back of it, you've got the checker that you can blame if anything goes wrong. And I know it shouldn't matter, but again, those little things to give you peace of mind, because it's almost the same price as the Nikon system. You're not saving money, give or take 50, 60 bucks. So it is nice that they give you some peace of mind, that they do have quality controls, and they are looking for our best interest as the user. In the box, another really nice thing that we'll find is a USB cable. And unlike some other systems where you have to send in your flash to get the firmware upgraded, they do have not only a sync port, I should show you this first, all the ports are weather sealed with rubber covers as well, which is really nice. And they just have that fingernail latch at the top to open them. And it's actually pretty tight, which is nice actually, right? So you know it's weather sealed. So we've got the USB port there, which allows us to update the firmware ourselves without having to send in the flash, which is nice. And above it, you'll see the standard mini phone jack as the sync port, which I'm hoping I don't need to use because we've got the radio built in. But it's really nice because they also include a straight and right angle mini phone cable if you do need to trigger as well manually. Now they also have a external power supply port on the side here. You can take a look at the configuration there. We don't use external power supplies, but if you did, that is built in. And they do also include an adapter, and I have no idea what this adapter is for, but I'm assuming it's so that you can get alternate power sources for your Mitros flash. So really nice there, and the weather sealing is really nice. So let's take a look. Oh, one more thing. I should mention they have a really nice flash case, and if I actually use flash cases, I'd be really excited about it because it's really good quality stitching and quality nylon, and it's got a D-ring at the top here, so you can actually just hook it with a carabiner. They've got your usual, really thick belt loop on the back via Velcro, and on either side you've got an elastic pouch that you can stick a cable in there for if you want, and you've got two non-elastic just nylon rings here, so you clip a pen if you wanted to. And inside, you've got a little sleeve at the very back here to fit your foot, which is included as well. And we always keep the feet on our flash, as well as, of course, the cave for the actual flash. Now, instead of the bag, we prefer to use our quick clips, and it just allows us one-hand access without having to fumble with Velcro or zippers. I can just take my flash with one hand, put it down, aim it, and walk away and start shooting, which is really nice. But to each his own. So let's take a look at the actual hardware now. As far as the plastic is concerned, it actually feels quality. It doesn't feel like a cheap knockoff at all. One of the major design changes that makes it different than Nikon and Canon is the fact that you don't need to press a button to swivel up and down, or to, swivel back and forth, or to tilt up and down. Okay. Now with the Nikon system, it won't let you swivel unless you press the right button here. Then it lets you swivel, and then if you want to go up, it locks in the top position, and then you have to press the button again to go back down. Canon's is even more restrictive, at least on this old 580EX. You need to press the button to get out of the down position, and then of course press it again to go back and forth. One thing that I have noticed is that the friction between the first and the second detente is a little bit tougher than the Nikon SB900 that I have. And that's a good thing, because for heavier modifiers, like my current favorite, the Mag Mods, which are a little bit heavier, then this actually tends to wilt. Actually, this will even wilt with a really small modifier, like a Honley grid. Whereas this one, I'm hoping that the friction is maintained with use, so that it continues to be strong in different positions for tabletop shooting. The Canon is actually the strongest of all of them, and it actually can bear quite a bit more weight without wilting under the weight. And so I do wish that we had a little bit more strength in those in-between areas, so it would make tabletop shooting a little bit easier. But hey, it's still better than the Nikon system that we have. Now, as far as the locking mechanism, the locking mechanism, take a look at that. For Canon shooters, that'll look really familiar. This is the Mitros. This is the Canon 580EX. And so they've taken a page out of that and made it the sliding lock system. So what's nice is that it's got the rubber gasket as well, very similar to the Canon system. You slide it in and you just pull, and it gets tighter and tighter as you go down, and then it clicks to lock. If you take a look at the Nikon system, it's just got a lever that goes from open to lock. And I really don't like this system. We've had it go undone on us during the scrum of a real wedding. So we actually gaffer's tape them all down now after we lock them into position, which is kind of a pain and a nuisance. I much prefer this system where it actually frictions down and then locks into place. And so kudos to them for that. And I know this is really minor, but I actually love their battery configuration. If you take a look inside of that, the top two are configured as button up, and the bottom two are button down. And so it's just super easy to remember. And even if you're changing your batteries in a dimly lit reception room, I think it'd be much easier, because I always screw up on the Nikon system. It may be just me, but the Nikon requires up, down, in line. And a lot of times when I'm fumbling in the dark, I always mess that up. And so little things like that make it really nice to use. On the back panel, they have stuck with all buttons here, and so there isn't a dial, and that's going to be similar to the, I actually prefer dials, honestly. So we've got the dial on the back here, and of course Canon also has a dial here as well on the 580EX. Dials, unless it's a rotary phone, I think are going to be faster for inputting. So I do wish they had a dial, but I can understand that it probably isn't quite as weatherproof as buttons, so we have to live with that. Besides that, they do have the diffusor for super wide angle, as well as the bounce card built in. I don't use either of those, but nice of them to add that as well. But yeah, let's take a look in the next video of how we do our custom functions and how to use this thing as a radio transmitter.